All right, this is the third day of our persuasive writing kind of project, going day by day. Hopefully on Monday and Tuesday you have gone through the videos, chosen your favorite ride, and then really narrowed down your two strongest reasons why that ride is the best. Today we are going to write our first paragraph. We're going to ignore the introduction paragraph and the conclusion paragraph to the end. We are going to do like kind of a rebuttal type thing, but I'll get to that. So really we're going to focus on the next 2 days, your two body paragraphs, which are your two reasons that you came up with for why your ride is the best. So today we're going to focus on just one and go through this so that you can see really all the steps you need to take. I've created a document. It's on our It's Learning page that shows you the steps. And so I'm going to model this for you. You also can click on this document to help you through it. And so you're just kind of creating a draft on a Google Doc and saving that, and each day you can go to it. So step one is to really think of, are your two reasons the two strongest reasons? I came up with 3 strong reasons why the Frozen ride was the best. The soundtrack and the music that goes with it, the fact that it's in the water, and there's a lot of good reasons why that could be make the ride awesome. And then finally, at part of the ride, you go backwards, and I talk about reasons why that is the best. And so I have to narrow down to 2, and so I'm going to narrow down to related to the music and the soundtrack is one reason, and then related to really the fact that it goes in water. Those are my 2 reasons. Today, one of those reasons gets thrown to the side. We'll worry about that tomorrow. Today, I'm just going to focus on one of the reasons why I think the Frozen ride is the best, and I'm going to talk about the soundtrack today. So if you take a look at the screen, step 1 is to state your first reason why you believe this and why you chose like this ride is your best. Remember, this is still like race, so we're going to restate and answer that. So if you look at my example, I said the first reason I believe that the Frozen ride, Frozen Ever After, is the best ride is because it has songs based around the Frozen soundtrack. Okay, so you could see here I did a transition phrase, the first reason. I also indented, by the way, when I do write this. And I restated, I believe the ride is the best because, and then I gave my first answer, which is it has songs based around the Frozen soundtrack. Okay? So that's simple. You've done that many times. Just kind of answer it. Restate and answer. Now we're going to see step 2 is to cite specific evidence from the video. If you can put the time in the video, that would be awesome because that makes things more like a passage, like a page that we would write if we're answering a question, because we did videos instead of text. Usually you'd say according to the text, or in paragraph 3, or in passage B, and you tell where you get your ideas. So if you can tell where in the video, what time period, that would be awesome. Also use these evidence stems. So as a reminder, how do you use evidence stems for the video? I've listed on this document. You could say according to the video, or in the video it tells. The narrator of the video explains. That's for videos that actually has a narrator. There aren't many. One detail from the video that proves this is, or finally, for example, the video shows, or something similar to those. You can come up with your own, but use one of these. And if you look at my example, this is the cite. This is the C, citing your evidence. So according to the video, about 3:20 into the ride, the song Let It Go begins playing. Okay? And I put here a note. You could list the video time as either 3:20 or 3 minutes and 20 seconds, whichever you prefer. I probably prefer the second one, but I wanted to show you your 2 options. Okay? So going back, you have come up with your first reason and told the reader what your reason is. Then you cite a piece of evidence that proves your reasoning, your thinking. And now what you're going to do is the E. Elaborate, explain, give your own thinking. You still should use these transition phrases, and so I put some examples here. You can see, for example, this means, this shows, this matters because, for instance, this is important because, as you can see, this is a strong evidence that, this clearly demonstrates these are all evidence stems we have used this year, and you've used probably in previous years to let the reader know, hey, I'm going to give my own thinking now. I told you something about the text, or in this case the video. Now I'm going to tell you what I think about that and why I think, and explain, because we want your thinking in this too, not just what the text says, or in this case what the video says. So here's the example I put for mine. This matters because, this is important because, this means, this shows, whatever you choose. I chose this. This matters because Let It Go, like many of the Frozen soundtrack songs, is very popular. Many people of all ages know the words better than most other movies because of how often people have heard them. And as many of you know, you've heard it over and over and over. It gets stuck in your head. Some people are sick of them now, some people are not, but you hear that, and most people who have seen this movie recognize that song. So I explain that. You'll notice in my example, and you can keep going back through these later, I have multiple sentences here to explain my thinking. I don't just put one thing and move on. Okay, you need to elaborate and extend your ideas. Okay, so just to review, we came up with, step one, our first reason. So we did the R and the A. Then we cited from the video, kind of our evidence. Then we just explained our thinking. The next step is to do that again with one more time. I said go back to steps 2 and 3 and give another thing from the video that has to do with your first reason. Okay, remember I had some other reasons. It goes backwards. It's in the water. That's not today. The only thing I'm thinking about is doing one paragraph, and that one paragraph has to do with the soundtrack, the music. So you're like, Mr. Plano, I already explained all that. Yes, you explained, or in this case, my example, I explained from the video one reason why the music going with the ride is a good thing. You need to try to think of at least 2, and 2 is fine. You don't have to do more than that necessarily, but 2 ways to prove your reason and strengthen your reason from the video. These are facts. So like I said, you're going to go back and do the same thing. Okay, you're going to do basically the C and the E again. So look, you use transition words because you're introducing another thing. So I leave this box up for you. Also, in addition, this got cut off, but another piece of evidence, I'll move that down. Another piece of evidence is, so you're saying, hey, I have one more thing from the video to strengthen my reason. So here's an example. I put that together and said, this is, your steps combined. I said, another piece of evidence that shows why Frozen soundtrack makes the ride special is that the songs tell a story. Okay, that's my other piece of evidence. You're like, well, where do you have here the time period? Well, let me see where in the video how I did this. If you look, it says this matters. I'm explaining here. This matters because it makes a connection with the movie. Okay? It says the ride moves from Olaf singing, "Do you want to build a snowman?" to Anna singing "For the First Time in Forever," to Elsa singing "Let It Go." I'm giving specific details from the video. I just did not cite the time periods, and I could have. But then I said, okay, so what about that? I said, this makes the ride neat because it makes it feel like you're actually in the movie, going through kind of chronologically and how things go. So like I said, I could have said, at 2 minutes and 20 seconds, Olaf sings, "Do you want to build a snowman?" At 3 minutes and 10 seconds, Anna sings "For the First Time Forever." At 4 minutes and whatever. I could do that, and that would be awesome, but because this kind of spans across the video, I don't need a specific time. But I do want you to try to do that when it fits, because it does strengthen your argument. Okay, to wrap things up, this is all one paragraph. All I did here, you'll see, is put it all together, and this is what we're doing today. One reason in going through and trying to cite kind of 2 pieces of evidence from the video. So once again, I'm going to put it together and read it for you one more time. This is what I did. The first reason I believe the Frozen ride, for Frozen Ever After, is the best ride is because it has songs based around the Frozen soundtrack. That's my reason. According to the video, let me cite, about 3 minutes and 20 seconds into the ride, the song Let It Go begins playing. Okay, so what? Here's the E. This matters because Let It Go, like many of the Frozen soundtrack songs, is very popular. Many people of all ages know the words better than most other movies because of how often people have heard them. Now I'm going to cite another piece of evidence to try to get not just one but two. If you only do one, it's going to be too short and you don't have enough thinking. So I challenge you and I'm asking you to do a second one. And so I said another piece of evidence that shows why the Frozen soundtrack makes the ride special is that the songs tell a story. Okay, that's another C. Now let me go to the E again. This matters because it makes a connection with the movie. The ride moves from Olaf singing Do You Want to Build a Snowman to Anna singing For the First Time in Forever to Elsa singing Let It Go. This makes the ride neat because it makes you feel like you're in the movie. So, just to wrap things up, at the end of today, your lesson, your requirement is to now choose one of your two reasons and go through this process. Okay? Restate why your ride is the best and answer. Give your reason. And then cite evidence from the video and explain why that's important, what that means, your own thinking. And then give another thing from the video that proves your point. It has to stick with your first reason, though. Don't get into something different. Okay? I stuck with the music the whole time because that's my first reason. I'm not getting into my second reason of it moving backwards or being in the water or whatever. I'm just doing the music. So put this together today and can't wait to see what you have. If you have any questions, let me know. And I will see you soon.